Hey everyone, North Central here. Thanks for tuning in, it's appreciated. We got another little do-it-yourself project here. I was out not too long ago and found this old cast iron pot, and I don't know if you can see it from where the camera's at, but it's pretty rusted. So let me get ahead and bring the camera up and I'll get close up a bit and you can see what we're going to be doing. Okay, so this is the pot that I found, and I got this off my mother-in-law. She had it sitting on her front porch, and as you can see it's pretty rusted. Now I've already started working on this. In fact, this part that you're seeing right here is the last part that I had to go. I've already gotten most of the back side here, so I got the front. I've gotten all the inside, get my rag out of the way there, gotten all the inside and cleaned it up. And it's cleaned up really nicely. And of course, this is the lid. And as you can see, this is a 10 1/4 inch wide by 8 inches deep. So it's a nice little cook pot. And you know, these are the type of finds that you really want to look for, like in your rummage sales, in your garage sales, your flea markets and things like that. A lot of people, you know, you start getting rust on stuff like this and they think that it's not any good anymore and they just toss it out. And really what needs to happen is you just need to take some of the rust off, or all the rust off, and give it some tender loving care and then re-season the pot. Now we're going to go ahead and get started in this, but before we do, I'm going to show you some of the things that you're going to need. And first of all, is always about safety. You need a good pair of safety glasses, some gloves, of course. I'll go ahead and put these on. And some other things you're going to need is a wire brush, and you can get different sizes. I've got this size and one's like a little toothbrush. And also, since we're living in modern times, I like to use my drill. And on the drill, I've got this spinning 3-inch wire wheel. And then I've also got this type of wire wheel. And with these are the two that I use the most. And the reason I do is just because it's a lot easier and a lot less manual labor than using something like this. But I always finish it up with a wire brush. So I'm going to back the camera away a little bit and we'll get started. Okay, so we're pretty much ready to go. And like I said, I've just really got this big piece here and the handle and of course the ears here. So I'll show you what I mean by just using the drill first. And then of course when I get a spot cleared like that, the drill's spinning one direction, I want to put it in reverse, make it go the other direction, that way make sure it's good and clean both directions. And then I'll go on and do the rest of it. So as soon as I get done, I'll show you the finished product. Of course, the hardest part to get is going to be on these ears right here. I'm going to try to get as much of it out as I can. Of course, this is the outside of the pot, so I'm not really too worried about the outside of the pot as much as I am the inside. The outside can still have little markings of where rust and stuff was, and it's really not going to bother it much. But I still, just me being me, want to get as much of it out as I can. So we're almost done with the pot now. When I use a wire brush like this on my drill, this little 3-inch wire wheel here, of course I like to go this direction, you know, and clean it all off, and then I go this direction and clean it all off. And then I'll flip it over like this and I'll go this direction and clean it all off, and then this direction and clean it all off. And the reason that I do that is so that the wire wheel is actually hitting it from 4 different sides, and it gets a lot, or at least most of the rust off of it. Now there are a couple places where the wire wheel won't reach, and that's in these ears. So I took just a little brush and the big brush and got as much of it out of here as I could. There's still a little bit in there, but I'm going to work on it a little bit more, see if I can get some more out. But like I said before, I'm really not, it really doesn't bother me too much. There's a little tiny bit of rust in there. I'm going to season the outside of this thing anyways to prevent any more. But as you can see, it's turned out really well. I've gotten probably 98% of the rust off the face. I do have to, excuse me, I do have to go over it one more time in this direction, which will take off a lot more. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and you can see it afterwards. Okay, so as far as the pot's concerned, it's pretty much done. I've got it about as best as I'm going to be able to get it. And it looks 100 times better than it did. I've gotten almost all the rust off of it. So the next step, of course, is going to be to season it. So we're going to go inside and get started on that. Okay, so we're in here at my kitchen. I went ahead and washed the pot. I just used some antibacterial soap, some water, scrubbed it down real good, and then immediately dried it back off. Did the pot, and of course I did the lid. So now we need to season it. And seasoning it's really easy. You're just going to take some oil and put on the inside of it and on top of the pot, and then you're going to bake it for 350 degrees for about an hour. You can use really any type of oil that you want. You can use lard, you can use vegetable shortening, or like a Crisco, the harder stuff. You can use regular vegetable oil or canola oil or even olive oil. You can use really just about anything you want to season it, but you got to get it over all the surface. And the thing that I like to use the most is, of course, bacon grease, because we eat quite a bit of bacon and I have a lot of it laying around. So what I do, stick some bacon grease on the plate, put the plate in the microwave, and soften it up a little bit. Now, after we season this, you're not going to want to take this after you use it and put it back under the hot water and scrub it down again with any type of a metal brush or something like that. Or steel wool or anything like that. You're going to want to use a soft bristled plastic brush and just some water, maybe some real coarse salt or something like that, and put in here and scrub this thing down with. If you use any like a metal brush or steel wool or something really hard like that, then you're going to take the seasoning back out of the pan and you're going to have to re-season it. It's got fairly soft. Still pretty hard, but that's alright. Stick it in there for a little bit longer. Another thing is that cooking in iron skillets or pots or anything that's cast iron also raises the iron content of your food. It'll actually absorb iron out of this pot. So keep that in mind as well. It's getting there. A little bit more. Now we're cooking with some grease. And I just take it and you're just going to rub it all over the bottom of the pot. And this is just a napkin here. Get a good layer all the way around it. I like using bacon just because
we've got quite a bit of it. Of course, we've got quite a bit of vegetable oil and stuff like that as well too. You gotta buy all that stuff. Bacon grease is just a byproduct of making bacon. Now you don't have to season the outside of the pan, but in this case this is a stew pot, and it's not something that I'm going to be using all the time. So I'm going to go ahead and do the outside as well, just to help keep, just to give it that little bit of a protective coating on it as it's sitting around my house in storage. Store needs is really easy. Oh, one more thing, after you're done washing it, using your soft brush or something like that to just to wipe it out with, immediately dry it, because if you let it air dry, it will rust again. And then of course you'll have to take steel wool. If it's just a real light rust, you can always just take steel wool and give it a good little coating of steel wool, scrub it down real good, get the rust spot out of it, and then of course you'll have to re-season it again, because anytime you put steel wool or something like that, what you're doing is you're actually taking this protective seasoning off here. I'm not sure why they call this seasoning, but that's what they call it, so that's what we'll call it. I think it had a lot of rust on it. I'm actually kind of surprised it turned out as well as it did. At first, whenever I was getting some of it off of it, I didn't think it was going to come out so well. I thought I was going to have to actually trash it, but it came out just really, really nice. Okay, well, that's done. I'm going to wash my hands here, and we'll get this thing in the oven. Okay, so I've got the oven preheated to 350 degrees. I don't know if you can see that there, but it does say 350 degrees. It's already preheated. It's ready to go. So let's go ahead and open this thing up. I've taken the top shelf out and left the bottom shelf in. And I put two pans on here so if the grease drips down, it won't drip down on the bottom, of course, of my stove. It'll just drip down on the pans. So let's go ahead and set this thing on there. Really slimy right now. Set that one there like that. Take this one and put it here like this. Throw it back on. Slide it in. Wipe my hands off just a little bit. And I'm going to set this for an hour. Start. So, an hour from now, we'll come back. Okay, so it's been an hour, and I'm going to open up the oven and get these things out. Now you probably see a little bit of smoke coming out. This is the oil burning into the metal. So let me get these things out. And there's a little bit of smoke. Hopefully I won't set off my smoke alarm. I'm just going to take the whole pan off. Okay, so I got them out of the oven. They're sitting up here on top of the stove cooling down because they are super hot. They're 350 degrees, and cast iron retains heat really well. So it's going to take a while for these things to cool down. Once they do, I'm going to wipe them down, get the excess grease and stuff off of them, and then I'm going to be putting them up in storage and keeping them for hopefully a long, long time with no rust or anything on them. So I appreciate you watching this video. This is North Central. Thanks for watching.